Okay, so last time we worked on this thing, we got it to power up and the motor ran, but it seemed like there was no DC power at all. So I've been looking down here in the where the power comes in, trying to trace out where it goes for the DC control circuitry. And see, down here we've got two diodes, one there and one there, and turns out this is supposed to be a bridge rectifier, but something is missing. A bridge rectifier should have four diodes, and we only have two. And if you look up here, this plate should have a diode from here to here, and here to here. If you can see the contact back there. Somehow those are missing. I have no idea how those are missing, because you think that if something, hit the bottom of the machine, it would have broken these off first. But it looks like I don't know what happened. Whether someone came in here and just ripped out the two top diodes, or there was something shorted and blew them off the board. I have no idea what happened. Anyway, so I have checked these. This would be the negative, this would be the positive, because if you look at these diodes, they're both facing away from this connection here. So this would be the negative. So like on one half of the AC cycle, the negative would flow out to this. Okay, so the camera died, but in the meantime, while I was charging, I've reinstalled some diodes down there. So I used, they're labeled 1N4007, but they're of unknown provenance. So I think 1N4007 should carry 1 amp, but I put 3 of them each way just in case. I don't know if they're actually 1N4007 just labeled that way, but we'll see what happens. I've checked that there's no shorts, across the lines, so hopefully it'll be good there, and there's no shorts from negative to positive or anything like that. So guess we'll flip this back down and try it out and see what happens. And yes, I know this is not proper installation, but just for testing purposes, it should do. Okay, let's see what happens this time. And the circuit breaker popped right away. So that's not surprising. Let's see if... Yeah... Nothing actually works. He's good stuff. Okay, well, that's not surprising, so I'll have to investigate why that popped. It looks like only one of them popped, so I'll have to see what that feeds. Not sure whether it tried to pull in a relay and that connected to something that was shorted or what, but okay, have to investigate that now. Okay, so first signs of life out of the DC circuit. On the same line that I did later, basically, I figured something was shorted, so I started looking for suspicious things. Like for example, this switch that had gotten kind of mangled up, and I just started cutting. So I cut out two things that looked suspicious, and then I found out that I actually cut the return wires. They were connected to a switch, or I shouldn't say the return, the negative back to the power supply. I cut those. It was a part of a switch, so I wired those back together. I'll show you all that later. But if I push the stop read, you'll notice that this light comes on. Hopefully that shows up in the camera. This light here comes on. So you got power there. And if I push, was it F3? No. Yeah, watch this relay here. When I push F1, that pulls in. Briefly, momentarily. So we got some DC power now. That's sticky. It don't really seem to do much. That one's stuck. Not really noticing anything else happening. The keyboard is still locked, so that keyboard release solenoid is not pulling in. Tape feed is not activating this punch, which I think it should. Stop read does that, start read does nothing. So this is not doing anything. These don't seem to do anything. So you got power some places, but there still seems to be a lot that's missing. I don't think I should have to have the punch plugged in for it to work, because like some of the stuff's getting power. So I'll have to do some more tracing out. This would be, where that pulled that relay in, one right there. Okay, so that toggles between, oh, light came on. So when I push it on SEL, that one there, I think it says number 13 pulls in. I push it on all, number 7 pulls in, all the way in the back there, and this light comes on. But that's for the, I think that's for the punch. So I think that should activate the punch. This is because this is still locked up. But the punch is still not doing anything at all. So some signs of life, but still a long way to go yet. I was hoping at least to get the punch to activate, but it doesn't seem like it wants to, so I'll have to figure out what's the deal with that and why the keyboard release is not unlocking the keyboard. So yeah, but at least I think, so the only thing that I changed as far as what might have been shorted was that switch I cut out, and the other thing I cut out. I don't know the other thing was really shorted or not, but anyway, I cut one switch out like I showed, and also this solenoid assembly. So I'm not, this is actually pretty stiff, whatever it is. This was back here in the back of the carriage, so it's some sort of carriage thing. I don't know exactly what it does. But it has 2 coils to pull this thing in either direction. And then it has 2 momentary, not momentary, but 2 micro switches to tell which direction it's been pulled. So, I don't know what that's for, but took that out because it was in the way, and the mechanism on it was kind of messed up from when I took the carriage out. And since it's pretty clear this is not really going to be usable as a typewriter or a reproducer from tape anyway, given the state of it, at this point I'm pretty much just focused on getting the punch and the tape reader to work, so that I can hook it up to a computer or something and read and punch tape that way. Just doesn't seem like it's going to be viable to get it working as a flexowriter. I'll just get it working enough to use the punch and the tape reader, hopefully, and I think that'll be where we're going to go with this project from here, which was kind of what I was thinking when I bought it anyway, given the state of it, that I would hopefully at least be able to get the punch and the reader working, and it would be nice to get the whole thing working, but I think it's just too far gone to do that, but we'll see where it goes. A lot of those relays in the back are still messed up. I just bent the contacts enough so nothing was shorted, but I'm sure they're not making good contact. I don't think any of them are pulled in by default when you turn it on. Turn it off. Yeah, I don't see anything released, so I don't think that would be causing our lack of power to certain things issue, but we'll have to see. But anyway, somewhat promising. We got power to some things at least, and as I think that messed up switch was what might have been causing the short when we first turned it on. So yeah, next I'm going to trace out, probably going to trace out to the keyboard release and see why that's not releasing, and also to the punch and see why that's not, doesn't seem to be getting any power. Not the punch, the reader rather. I still have to fix the punch mouse before I can put that back on, but getting somewhere at least. Okay, so I've been tracing out some of the wiring here. I tried tracing out the blue and the purple wire that came from the keyboard unlock solenoid, and I got them back to this solenoid here, and that should connect them to, I think it was a black wire that went over to another green wire or something, and I couldn't find out where that green wire went after that. So I then turned my attention to the control for the tape reader, since none of the buttons up here seem to be doing anything with that. And it turns out that the control to activate that, it's hot all the time and is switched on the neutral, or I should say the negative. So it has positive DC power going to it all the time, DC voltage rather, and the negative DC voltage is switched. I found out that that actually went to the connector for the reproducer unit, which we have unplugged. So it kind of makes sense if you think about it. You know, you don't want to drive the reader if the reproducer is still going through its cycle. They have some kind of timing thing that would, stop the reader from reading the next character until the reproducer has finished its typing cycle, and then when it's ready, it'll reactivate the punch to read the next character, and so on. So we can't plug in the reproducer because the one coil is broken. So electrically, if we plug it in, it will, do all of its trips and stuff to try and try to print a character, but because it can't activate the actual mechanism via the belt drive from the motor, it has no way to reset itself or go through its cycle. So if we would try to plug it in, and then like if we read a character from the tape, it'll trip those fingers inside for the decoding, but it'll have no way to reset for the next character or to type or anything because it can't activate the drive to itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump out the negative control side here. You can see this wire here. I've taped it off, so I'm going to turn it on with this connected. I wish this would stay out here. And then I will, once I have it powered up, I'll just reconnect that real quick and see if this engages. It should. I ohmed out, with that in there, I ohmed out that the negative side of the control solenoid, it does go back to DC negative. So it should work. Obviously, it's not going to be reading anything because I don't have any tape to put in it. Actually, maybe I do. I might have some tape somewhere. Maybe I'll dig some up and see if it'll feed it through. Obviously, we won't know what it's reading off of it because the producer's not plugged in, but just to see what happens. And I taped off the connector here to make sure that I don't accidentally plug it in or accidentally touch one of the wrong pins and short something out, because this is the equivalent of like a hot chassis radio. It's just direct to rectify line voltage that powers all this stuff. So, if you were to short something out, it's not like you have a transformer that will kind of limit the current. If you short something out, you're just going to blow the diodes up. So, yeah. It should be plugged in, so let's turn it on. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, it's going. I don't know if you can see it in the camera or not, but I can see the fingers coming up through the holes. Let me see if I can dig up a piece of tape and just see if it feeds through. Okay, so I dug up this piece of paper tape. I have no idea what's on it. Had it lying around for a while. So it's latched in now. When I turn the knob, it feeds through. So obviously we won't know if it's reading it properly, but That'll be cool just to see it feed through, I guess. There it goes. I think when the leaders, or when the punch is in, you can set it. Let's see if it'll stay there. There it goes. Okay, I think that's enough for that. That's pretty cool. I don't know if you can really see the fingers coming up through, but when I'm down at the angle, I'm looking like kind of into there. When I'm down at that angle, I can see the little fingers popping up through the holes as they lead. So yeah, that's pretty cool. It's not punching any new holes, so you know, if these fingers were somehow, you know, locked to the shaft or something, it'd be forced up. But nope, they're sensing. And I guess maybe you could put a scope on it and see what it's reading, a logic analyzer or something. Of course, I have to get some kind of voltage divider to use the logic analyzer, because I'm pretty sure logic analyzer is not going to be rated for 150 to 170 volts. It might not even be smooth DC either. It might just be pulse DC, because I didn't really see any real filtering capacitors in here. Just there's an oil capacitor, I think, for the motor, and I think there's like a small you know, paper film noise suppression capacitor, which, yes, probably should be changed if it's going to be used any amount, but I didn't really see any, you know, electrolytic DC filtering capacitors, so I'm not even sure if this is smooth DC that it's using for signal voltage, but pretty glad to see that work. Next step, I think, is going to be, I have to fix these mounts for the punch. This is the only one that's not even really attached, but the other two broke off, so I have to see how I can reattach those. Then I think we're going to see if we can get the punch to work, and if we can, I think the next step after that will be building some kind of interface to reading my data from the computer. I think it's going to be the next thing from here. Like I said, I don't think it's worth trying to pay that much attention to the typewriter section. You know, given how messed up things are, and given how messed up the control relays are, I think it's just going to be kind of futile to try and make it work as a fluxometer. But yeah, pretty glad to see that work. So next step, hopefully, we'll be able to remount the punch. Have to leave these back on, maybe have to dry for a couple days, and see if we can remount that and see what we can make that do. And yeah, so for now, I think that's going to be it for the reader. Yeah, I don't know what the natural progression of, you know, how the signal would normally get, you know, back out of the reproduce unit, and then where it goes from there to be controlled by these keys. If I knew what pin that was, I would have jumped to that and then try to use the keys to control it. But I don't know what pin that is. All I know is the ground that goes to ground, and or negative, I should say, and the pin that goes into the reproducer for it to control it. But that's not. It doesn't. The reproducer would not connect that directly to ground, because it has to be controlled by the keys or whatever else before that. So there's one other pin in this connector is where the reproducer would connect the wire from here. The wire from here goes into the reproducer. The reproducer would connect it to some other pin, and then that other pin would go to further control circuitry before going to ground or negative, whatever you want to call it. But what that other pin is that would naturally take that signal to the other control circuitry, I have no idea. So unfortunately, we won't be able to use these keys to control it because again, I have no idea where to connect it to jump out the reproducer in order to still have the rest of the control circuitry work. So that's why I just dumping it directly to ground. And whatever we build to interface with this, we'll just do that same thing. Have like a, probably use relays or maybe a power transistor or something to drive it to ground, but probably use relays for the isolation. Like I said, this is, line, directly rectified line voltage, so you use a power transistor and it shorts, then you're going to get that line voltage potentially back into your low voltage digital electronics, so probably use relays for the isolation. Anyway, that's a long way off yet. First got to play around with this punch, so yeah, getting somewhere, I guess, but yeah, glad to see that work. So to unload this, you just lift it up and then the tape just slides right out. Like that. Well, the punch does something at least. You can tell by the chicken band I have here that my mount repair failed. So I had to chicken band this up to keep it up enough because the belt kept jumping off. But it is doing something, as you can see. This is just with the tape feed button. But as you can see, it has an issue where sometimes it gets stuck, and then it just punches a bunch of holes, not holes, but it leaves like a groove, and then that messes up the grabber pins there that index into these little holes. So then it kind of messes up again. It's just a repeating cycle. I'm not really sure why. I don't know if the track is just dirty or what. There was a bit of rust on the bottom of this that I cleaned off, so I don't know, maybe it's just not smooth enough. Maybe this is the wrong tape. This tape is a lot thicker than the other pink stuff that was too skinny. This is wider and a lot thicker. This is a really thick paper. So I'm not sure if that's like the wrong tape to use and it's too thick for this, but the good news is at least it's doing something. I don't know why it's punching so many holes and I'm just using the tape feed, unless that's supposed to be like a blank character. I don't know, but I just put a little tension on this and use the tape feed. See, it will advance through and punch. I'm curious now if I push a letter. No, I can't push a letter because the keyboard is jammed up. I forgot about that. See if I can push a function key. Yeah, so they're not. There we go. I had it on. I had the control off. Aha. F6 is good. F10, F9, F11. F9's broke. F12. The way they did these function keys is really weird. It's not, they're not just a logical switch. They actually run off the big roller in the bottom like the regular keys do. So I'm not sure why that is exactly. But so the ones that are sticking are because the trip on the bottom is not tripping to be activated by the big roller. So that's why those are stuck. But yeah, F6 is broke, F7, 8, 9, 9 is broke, 10, 11, 12, and 13 are both broke. Let's see what characters that punched. Yeah, so you can see the different characters now. So that's a good sign. At least it means that, like these, at least these ones aren't sticking because they do turn on and off. So that's a good sign. Hold on, camera's going to die in a minute. Okay, so let me see if I can get the stupid keyboard on a sec. I don't know what the hell's wrong with it. I think it's the stupid 6 key, which jams everything else up. There we go. Did that do something? Like, keep the Yes, it did. Maybe. Stupid. That key's stuck down. That key's stupid 6 key is still mixed up. I'm gonna have to lift this thing up and underneath to reset the stupid 6 key. Now it's not punching anything. Does this still work? That still works. So I think it punched one key and didn't punch the L key stuck down. Something wasn't this bad before. I don't know why the keyboard is acting up now. Right, L key is reset. That stupid 6 key is still coded. Alright, so I think that's what happened. The switch got stuck and that's why I didn't punch that one time. I'm going to have to lift this up and reset the stupid 6 key before we can really play around with this, because it's too hard to hold that up and try to keep tension on this so it doesn't mess up. So let me do that. Alright, let's try again. The 6 key should be reset now, so I'll turn this on. And I also disengaged the keyboard lock, so that didn't work anyway, so. Alright, the S worked. That was an S. Let's put a bunch of blanks in so we know where we're starting from. So let's try A again. A's broke. B's broke. C. Oh, because A got stuck again. Oh, there A went. Alright, so that was A. B. C isn't punching. Right now we're punching. C, D. D's not punching. That's E. I think my thing got stuck a little bit. F. For some reason it doesn't always activate, I don't know why. H, I, J. Now it's not punching again until I hit tape feed, then it'll punch. So that's intriguing. I'm not sure what the deal is with that. K, L, M, N. It's like every second one it needs a tape feed. O, P. So I'll see if Q works. No. So I need a tape feed, and now it can be Q, R, S, T doesn't work, tape feed, T, U, V's not firing. Yeah, V's not firing off the roller, so that won't do us any good. B, W, X, oops, not getting it there. X, Y, Z. Okay, so for some reason it doesn't seem like it fires sometimes. I'll show you the dealers with that, that's interesting. Should we try numbers next? So tape feeds in, 1, got stuck, 2, 1. No, now it doesn't want to at all. There we go, that was a 3, 4, 4, 5, 6 got stuck last time, so we'll skip that. 7, 8 feet, 7, 8, 9, 0, dash, 8 feet, dash, underscore. No, I got stuck. Come on. Alright, reset that. Some tape feed. We can try. See what tab does. Nothing. Tab does nothing. That's bracket. Reset. Period doesn't fire. Comma doesn't fire. Question mark. that was a question mark, that finally fired. Quote, doesn't fire, colon, uppercase, lowercase doesn't work. I'm afraid to press carriage return, but let's just see what it does. It didn't do anything. Alright, that's a bunch of carriage returns. Okay, so, I think that I just about tested everything. And here's some blank ones. I don't remember which one that was. It was, I don't know which one that was now. Anyway, unless it was 0. I don't think it was though. There's a bunch of tape feeds. And we can try 0 again. Really weird. I wonder why it stops punching. Oh, something's stuck. What the hell is that? It's really weird. I wonder why it stops punching after so many repeats. Yeah, so that's 0. 0 is nothing. Interesting. What was, did we get? I don't know where 1 was. Let's try 1 again. That gets stuck. And now my tape thing got stuck. That's supposed to be a 1? I wonder if one of my punches is stuck. So I don't see anything in the second to last, not the second to last, the third to last column. Nothing has been punched there. So I wonder if that particular punch is stuck in some way. Maybe that's where 1 is supposed to be. Let's see what 2 comes out as. It keeps getting stuck. Now my tape roll fell over. I think I'm going to have to come up with a better setup for playing around with this before I play around with it anymore, because it's just kind of getting annoying at this point. But the good news is the punch seems to be working for the most part. Like I said, there might be 1 that is sticking, because like I said, I don't see anything in. Can you see what I'm showing here? In between these 2 columns, I don't see anything ever being punched through. So I wonder if that column is stuck and not firing. I'll have to look into that. But of course 2 is stuck. Alright, so that should have been 2. And this is getting full of little circles. I'm not sure if they're supposed to fly freely up and down the chute, or was expected that they build up in there and then kind of roll over down the chute. Some have come out the chute. I see actually quite a bit have come out the chute. There's a big pile down there at the bottom. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for now. Definitely feeling pretty good that I was able to get this to punch. That's pretty cool, actually. Never played around with the paper tape punch before, so that was pretty fun. And the reader seems to be, at least it advances the tape and the little fingers come up to sense. Of course, what it's actually reading, we have no way to tell at this point. I'll have to look into that 1 column that might be stuck. And hopefully it's not a bad coil. That would not be good. We'll have to see about that. But yeah, we'll see anyway. So, right, the only concern then that I have so far, at least, is with that stuck column. Hopefully, it's not a bad coil that's not firing it. Hopefully, it's just less than dry grease or something. I'll have to check that out. But yeah, there could also be something wrong with the machine too. That wire is broken or not making connection over to the punch somehow. I have no idea what the signal path is for the data over to the punch. Obviously, you can't have the keyboard like hardwired into the punch because then it'll be tripping those trips all the time, and then the first thing you'd print would be everything, because they all have been tripped. So it has to cut off the signal path somewhere or somehow. So maybe that particular data line is just broken or something, but yeah, I would check that out. I have to find some way to interface the punch and the reader to the computer so we can, first of all, see what this is reading, make sure everything is being read properly, and then of course we'll have to figure out how we're going to control the punch from the computer. But yeah, so far I'm pretty satisfied with how this turned out. So that's going to be out for now. I'll have to think about how I want to proceed from here, how I want to hook this stuff up, but definitely is punching, so that's pretty cool. And it doesn't really matter to me what like these actually mean. We can come up with our own encoding whenever we hook it up to the computer, however we want to encode stuff. So we don't have to go with the same encoding they use. That's I don't know what encoding they use, but yeah. Really my only main concern at this point is that stuck column. So I'll look into that, but yeah, otherwise, I'm pretty happy with that so far.